Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, your daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and bestie and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam show. Wisdom of the Sages is a daily study of yoga wisdom. We don't just want to learn yoga. We want, where's this stuff coming from? It's once we get into it after a while, you know what happens, Kaustubha? And you know this, and you know what happens, is if you don't study the yoga wisdom, you become very, very fit, and you become very, very flexible, and you're very, very calm, and you're very, very peaceful, and very, very shanti. But without, it's like having a beautiful boat with no rudder, and then what happens? The boat goes all over the place, and you're left at the mercy of dynamic, charismatic, and sometimes crazy yoga leaders in the yoga community in the West. And what they've done is they've hijacked the yoga teachings and they've turned it into their own very interesting but bizarre teachings. That's why you have so many crazy yogas out there and yoga gurus and yoga scandals and yoga. All you got to do to figure out what yoga is, you don't have to create a new yoga. You just have to read what the original yogi said yoga is. It's that simple. And so what we want to do on this show is bring people back, not introduce anything new. It might be new to us, but this is the stuff we're talking about is not it's not Raghunath's cool take on yoga or Kaustubha's cool insight on what he thinks yoga is about. This isn't even about us. This is about taking this ancient yoga teachings and getting my big fat ego out of the way and just presenting yoga. And that's what we're supposed to be doing as yoga teachers. Who cares about Raghu's cool take on yoga? Who cares about that, Mara?
No, Mara, who does? Mara, tell us.
You want a list?
Not me.
I want a list right now. By the end of the show, would you prepare that list for us?
Yeah,
and we'll read it at the end.
Yoga's been hijacked. It's been hijacked, renamed, repackaged, and sold back to India. I'm serious. It's sold back to India. This is what cultural appropriation is. What we're trying to do is cultural appreciation. We're trying to take this culture and sort of like show like it's sort of like you go into you dig it up like an archaeology, you dig it up and you dust it off. And like, this is what this culture had to offer. I was about to go and blow on it, but you're not supposed to blow on things.
It's use one of those brushes that they have.
Use one of those archaeology brushes.
Okay.
So welcome to
you are going off this morning, Raghu.
You know why?
Mushroom tea?
Prana.
Okay.
Prana. I've been sleeping outside every night.
Nice.
The whole family's still out there. That's why I'm screaming my head off this morning.
Okay.
I always try to keep it a little reserved when the kids are asleep, but they're out there. I'm going to just scream. All
right.
Mara?
Shall we start?
Good?
Yeah.
What were you saying? You
got-
sent me a late night message. Someone retracted the statement that I was annoying.
They updated the review, yeah.
They like that
They
you're annoying now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird, though. But you know what? They said I was annoying, like the show, but Raghunath's annoying. And then I made a whole stink about it on the show. Like, oh, so I'm annoying, huh? And then they retracted their statement. It was annoying. I love his annoyingness.
Pretty much.
I don't believe him. I don't believe the person either way now.
Raghu, come on. Accept them at their word. I could tell that. I felt sincerity in that message.
I agree.
I think I just shamed them into liking me.
We got a nice letter from one of our regular listeners. Can I share it?
Is it anonymous?
It is anonymous.
Okay. Whenever there's anonymous, I was like, who is it? Tell me who it is. Okay, we'll keep it anonymous.
I wanted to write you today to express my sincere gratitude for the show and community you've created. The words "thank you" seem to fall incredibly short, but they're all I have. I began joining the Zoom call near the end of April and have not missed an episode since. I've been catching up on past episodes as well. You have provided a lifeline as I attempt to navigate these difficult waters. When quarantine hit, I found myself in a house with family, namely my parents and younger brother. To say this has been challenging is an understatement. I've always been the family misfit, but the tension of our current situation has intensified the sentiment. While I participate in various online sanghas and continue to teach asana via Zoom, I've still been grappling with loneliness, this feeling of being with others and not really belonging. So I turn to the words you speak. This morning in the interview with Paramananda, near the end of the show, there was a statement that really struck me. Please excuse my poor paraphrasing, but it went something like, I want to open the door to spiritual people who make me want to lift the bar of my own life. This echoed the sentiment in an earlier episode I'd listened to recently of insulate, don't isolate. Joining class each morning and the Discord thread have provided me with an outlet where I can let the right people in while maintaining healthy boundaries in my living situation.
The Discord thread, it's out of control. Have you noticed that, Kaustubha?
Yeah, you know, I was away for a few days, and I went back, and there's like all kind of cool stuff there.
All right, hold that thought. Keep going with this.
All right. Whether you
Nice
intended
email.
it, yeah, this is my favorite line. Whether you intended it or not, you are the architects of a vast community of support. Thank you.
Kaustubha, can you call my mom and tell her I'm an architect now? It's like, what is he doing with his life? I'm an architect. Okay, go on.
All right. Let's see. Thank you for the wisdom you share and for bringing together like-hearted people.
That was very, very sweet.
Very sweet.
It's lonely. The material world is lonely. And when you start feeling lonely, for me, I think that's sort of like a threshold to a new beginning. You need to feel that loneliness to want to connect with source. And sometimes even the most successful, most validated, wealthiest, you can feel incredibly isolated. And when you find a spiritual community, this is an important part of it. A spiritual community, you just go back and forth. And, Kaustubha, that, you know what really worked out? You never know sometimes what's going to work out well. The Discord thread, the Makeover Monday Discord thread.
That
so
thing's
if you're on,
yeah,
right?
it's off I was thinking next Monday you should actually kind of like share what people are doing.
Okay.
Right.
Those are who are on the Makeover Monday thread. So if you're unfamiliar with this, our little Patreon party is going on. This is a community supported broadcast. If you appreciate what we do, you get on patreon.com/wisdom of the sages, and you give some very incredibly generous, financial support for us. And you give whatever you can, and then there's a whole Patreon classes that we give. Tonight is Sweet Baby Krishna. I'll give my Sweet Baby Krishna at 7 p.m. Eastern
Paramananda.
time. Paramananda is also giving a class this morning. I'm 7 p.m. Paramananda is at 10 a.m. I think.
10 a.m.
A yoga class, and he's not an easy. He's a strong class. So. Anyway,
and
but
people
then
are
there's
asking
whole...
if that's going to be posted. So, Mara, could you record that? So then we'll post that for people too. The recording of that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
And then and so anyway, then there's all these Discord threads. There's a general thread. There's a recipe thread, which RMR is crazy. He's like cooking everything, and Krishna Drew is cooking everything on that. And then there's we made a Makeover Monday for people who are working on different. Upgrading their lives, and they write out how they're going to upgrade themselves this week, and it's inspirational. And then this whole other thing came forward that I'm gonna have to talk to Bhakti Ed first. When I talked to Bhakti Ed, I got a whole incredible thing that he revealed that I gotta talk to you guys about and talk to him about. But it was great. Right. If you're on the thread, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, Makeover Monday is inspiration for me. I'm really happy with everybody going for it. And where else were we going with that? Anyway, that was a great letter.
Yeah, really very nice. Thank you to whoever wrote that.
And the community, the anonymous person, the community helps lift us. And that's what we do when we come into a community. It lifts us when we're low. And when we're strong, we lift each other. It's sort of like helping each other across a creek. You're holding the hands and you're slipping and he's pulling you in, and then you're slipping, you're pulling him forward. It's like crossing a creek. Now today, Tuesday, is turning into Trivia Tuesday. Not so Trivia Tuesday, although we're not that prepared. So we're going to start it next week. But I'm going to throw out some trivia questions for homework. and just to
Alright.
see where you're at. Okay, but we'll reserve that for later. So you trivia buffs, get ready. All right, shall we start, my friend Kaustubha?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Set it off.
We start with these mantras.
Get it on.
Let's get it on.
Do your thing.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta priyeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyanatamurandasya Giranjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hey Kaustubha, when it says all that is troublesome to the heart, does that mean my mind?
Well, when we say heart, you know, it really refers to the mind, right? But that part of the mind where those things that are most dear to one are held, I suppose. What's that creaking door?
Oh, I live in a haunted house.
You need a little WD-40 around there. What's going on?
One of the kids crying. Just
Grim
leave me.
Reaper just walked in the door.
I wouldn't mind leaving my body in front of all of you. You're like, well, you know, I'm obsessed with how I will leave my body.
Okay.
I hope it's good.
It's going to be good, Raghu.
What were we just talking about?
I forget.
Oh, in your heart. Okay. I just
heart and
love
mind.
that promise of the Bhagavatam. All that is troublesome to the heart. And I think it's safe to say, when you start engaging in bhakti, a lot of troubles just lift from your heart. Even if it's the very minimum of seeing the world in perspective. Hearing about Maharaj Parikshit and thinking, you know what? Yeah, these great people have existed forever. I'm just here for a moment, you know, or I have a chance, I have an opportunity to change, giving that hope in the heart that life is a long journey, that life is eternal, that we can change at any minute I choose to by associating with people. You know, we have an opportunity for either Big Maya or Big Krishna. You can invite Big Krishna in your life or Big Maya in your life.
I thought you were
What's it
into
gonna be?
I thought you were into little baby Krishna.
Well, little baby Krishna is Big Krishna.
He's
So you
big.
invite little baby Krishna and Big Maya goes away. It just happens. You can have baby Krishna or Big Maya. That's the option.
All right. So, you know, yesterday we read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, Text 27. We read a lot of verses, but we ended with 27. And let's just read this verse again. It said, after hearing about his death, which would be caused by the bite of a snake bird. Ouch. Sent by the son of
Ever get bit by a snake bird?
Not yet.
It's tough.
Sent by the son of a Brahmana. He will get himself, speaking about Maharaj Parikshit, he will get himself freed from all material attachment and surrender unto the personality of Godhead, taking shelter of him. Okay. So I'm thinking that, you know, because we're reading, you know, sometimes we only do one verse a day, the thread kind of is sometimes hard to follow.
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe if we read just a little bit of the telling of the story, not from Bhagavatam, but from Mahabharata, which overlaps, right? And I know you're a Mahabharata fan, right?
I'm a big Mahabharata fan.
Okay.
I'm a Mahabharata fan.
Why don't we read about how King Parikshit, who is going to be so important, again, we're hearing about him here in the first canto because right at the beginning of the second canto, he's going to start asking questions to Shukadeva Goswami, and that is the Bhagavatam. And so why did he get cursed? You know, how did the snake bird, you know, come into the picture?
if you're unfamiliar with the Mahabharata, a lot of these, the Bhagavatam has all different stories, and it dips into other literature.
Mhm.
So sometimes if you just read the Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes when you read the Mahabharata, you get a much more filled in the blanks story.
Sometimes you do, yeah.
Sometimes you do. So it's really nice to read them both side by side, or read one and then the other, something like that. It dips into the Ramayana, it dips into baby Krishna, it dips into Krishna in Dwarka.
So this is from the Adi Parva of the Mahabharata, around 40 through 42 or something like that. You ready?
Yeah.
And we could get your commentary on this too, Raghunath. It is well known that Parikshit, the son of Abhimanyu and the grandson of Arjuna, was cursed to die within 7 days when he insulted an innocent rishi. What is a rishi?
Rishi's like a holy person,
Yeah,
mystical
like a
holy
sage,
person.
Seer out in the,
A
generally out in the
seer.
forest, right?
A seer.
So he insulted an innocent rishi. Why would he do that? By placing a dead snake on the rishi's shoulder.
Yeah.
The curse was, however, not pronounced by the rishi himself, but by his son. The incident happened when Parikshit was hunting. The king, after pursuing his specific prey in the forest for a long time, had become tired and hungry. This was when he came across the hermitage of Rishi Shamika. Unaware that the Rishi was under a vow of silence, the king inquired about the prey, but the Rishi answered not. Enraged by the Rishi's silence, and in other versions we hear he was like really thirsty. He was asking for something to drink, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slightly different versions.
Yeah. Enraged by the Rishi's silence, Parikshit placed a dead snake on the Rishi's shoulder with the end of his bow.
Just
The
like
Rishi-
picked it up with his bow and draped it around his
okay.
shoulders.
You're going to be like that? Well, here.
Did he
take this
find a dead
garland.
snake just randomly laying
It must
there?
have just been lying there, I guess.
Just a dead snake.
Yeah. Enraged by the Rishi's silence, Parikshit placed a dead snake on the Rishi's shoulder with the end of his bow. The Rishi still did not protest. Observing this, Parikshit became repentant and walked away.
Like he did it and then felt bad for doing it.
What was I doing?
What am I doing? Insulting a sage with this
Yeah.
dead snake.
He didn't even protest. Like I figured I'd put this on and he would like say, yo, what's up with it? And he didn't say anything, he just tolerated.
It would have been less offensive if he did it with a rubber snake.
Somewhat less offensive.
You know what I mean? Much less offensive. A rubber snake it's sort of more prankish.
Still
This
wrong.
was sort of like a dark prank with a dead snake. I would hate that if someone threw a dead snake on me.
You hate that. You collect dead things like that all the time.
I collect skulls.
Not snakes. Okay. So
Yeah.
the Rishi's son, Shringi, that's his name, who was himself highly accomplished in penances, came to know of the insult meted out to his father through Krisha, the son of another Rishi.
Ah. See, I always thought Shringi witnessed the whole event.
No.
But Shringi heard it from another friend. I've never heard this version.
He heard it from a friend. An enraged Shringi cursed that the king would meet his death by the live snake, Takshaka, in 7 days. So, okay, you put a dead snake on my father. Well, now you're going to meet a live snake, and he's going to bite you and kill you in 7 days. All right?
Revenge.
Shamika soon learned of the rash act of his son. He summoned Shringi and said, "Dear son, the act of your curse is not to my liking." These are really great instructions now. Okay, let's kind
All right,
of.
so this is the
frame
father
this.
telling it to the son who has cursed him.
Now, these are both they're both people that are practicing a very strict spiritual practice, like an intense spiritual practices, But one of them both of them on the external level are really, strictly practicing. But one of them that practice has matured into deep realizations, and the other is still kind of ruled by his lower passions. So the father is saying to the son, "Dear son, the act of your curse is not to my liking. Your act does not befit the dharma of tapasvis. What is a tapasvi, Raghu?
Tapasvi is one who practices tapas, or like intense types of renunciation,
Yeah.
or
Austerities.
some austerity that they bring upon themselves for a higher cause. It could be a material cause. I mean, you could call working out a tapas. It's some austerity that you do. It hurts, but I'm going to get a six-pack from doing it. But in yogic tradition, it's done either for mystical powers. It's done for some type of, it's done for bhakti, some type of thing that we impose upon ourselves for some higher benefit.
Right. Okay. So he said, your act does not befit the dharma of tapasvis. We should forgive such acts done by the king, for we are able to practice austerities and gain greater merits, mainly because of his protection. Without his protection, we would be experiencing great difficulties. A kingless country will be swayed by all kind of evils. So he's, rather than seeing the bad, he's seeing the good, right?
He's seeing the good.
He may have put a snake on me, but come on. He's like, we really should be grateful to him. Okay. Then he continues. The king was exhausted and hungry when he saw me and was not aware of my observance of silence. I understand how these circumstances drove him to commit such an act. For these reasons, he in no way deserves such a curse from us. All right. So he's seeing the circumstances.
It's such a sign of spiritual maturity when people can wrong you and you can step out of your anger, out of your resentment, out of your I've been hurtness or what's up with you-ness, and step into their mind and say, what's going on with this guy? This guy must be in some type of pain. And try to see their paradigm for a moment. It's a sign of maturity when I just don't start. I want revenge. How dare they? Don't they know who I am?
And let me tell the entire world about how I've been wronged.
I've been wronged. Here's my story. Listen to my story. Wait till you hear my story. What do you think of my story? You want to agree with my story? And we're looking for people to endorse our story. And we live in file cabinets of our story of hurt.
And when people don't buy into it enough, we get frustrated with that. Then we escalate it.
Yeah. You don't know and sometimes we make the story much more colorful than it was. He put this python around my neck.
It was strangling me.
It was still alive. It was still partially alive. It had babies. It was everything.
He threw me in a pit of live vipers.
Yeah. We take that. That's the problem with getting offended and living and holding on to an offense for years. And you can change that up quickly by immediately and completely releasing that offense. Immediately and completely releasing that offense. When people harm me, I immediately let it go. Oftentimes they didn't even know what they were doing. Oftentimes they themselves were in a frustrated place.
This is how Shamika became who he is, right? This is how he's able to sit there with an incredibly peaceful mind and go deep, deep, deep into his absorption and his meditation. It's because he's let go of these things. So the king was, so he mentions that the king was exhausted and hungry. These were the circumstances that drove him to commit it. So in no way does he deserve this curse. So now Shamika also said this about his son. He says, even after a son matures into an adult, it is the duty of the father to counsel him so that the son may attain greater merits. But not only are you young, but you also gave in to anger. When even great ascetics of renown are swayed by anger, what can I say about a young boy like you? So despite the fact that you have acquired great merits through penances, I do see a need and reason to counsel you for some more time. What a good father, right?
This crazy story, man.
How far off a tangent is it going to go?
It's exactly parallel.
Okay, let's hear it.
But it's a real life example. Yeah. I know this mystical man. I know this. It's a freak, but it has everything to do with what you're talking about.
Radhakund?
Secret. It's secret. But and he said after he graduated university, he started this intense worship of Kali. And he said, I worshiped Kali for like 10 years with all these strength. He goes, Raghunath, you don't understand. If someone was to walk in the room and I didn't know their name, I would know their name immediately. I'd be able to just gleam. What's the word? Glean. Just look into someone's mind and tell them about them. Because I asked him where he got these powers from. I just look in his mind. I know exactly everything about him. And then he said, and I said, what happened? He goes, I wasn't mature. It reminds me of Shringy. And he goes, I wasn't mature. And somebody came over and they were just insulting me and insulting me and insulting me. And I was like, I didn't say anything and I didn't curse him, but I thought angry thoughts about this guy. And when he left, he immediately fell down the stairs and broke his legs and had to be in a wheelchair. And I thought, I have made an offense. I have some power now. I have some Shakti. And it was through tapas. He did this tapas. He worshiped Kali for many years, and he developed these like siddhis. And now he could hurt people with his mind. I kid you not. Just like Shringy.
Okay.
And so what happened was, he said, at that point, I realized I've made an offense. I have this power, but I haven't controlled my senses, my anger, my rage. And he goes, from then on, I decided I need peace. So I started worshiping Shiva. And then from the worship of Shiva, I became more peaceful. But then I realized I need love. I need sweet, intimate love. And then
sweet baby Krishna.
And I fell in love with Krishna. And now I use all these siddhis. I use them for good and not for harm. Interesting, right? That has something. That wasn't a tangent. That was it. That was a real life story of Shringy.
Thank you for sharing that, Raghu.
Interesting stuff.
Very interesting. Okay, you ready to continue?
Yes.
Okay, so Shamika continues to Shringy, his son. You should, great instructions now. You should strive to destroy your anger by controlling your senses and sustaining on food from roots, stems, and fruits in the forest. Anger deprives an ascetic of his merits, without which liberation cannot be achieved.
Wait, what did he say? He's got to eat roots and stems?
Yeah, he's saying eat roots and stems and fruits in the forest.
As an atonement?
It's a sattvic diet. It's going to help him let go of that anger and that passionate nature that he's got.
I will say, for the year and a half I was a raw foodist,
yeah,
it made me so like peaceful. Incredibly.
He didn't say raw though.
What's that?
He didn't say raw.
Roots. I guess you can cook a root.
Yeah. You know what I've been eating? My God, it's so delicious. It's blowing my mind. It reminds me.
Are you wandering away now, Kaustubha? Do I have to bring you back to track?
Well,
I'm trying to imagine their diet. I'd like to color in all the pictures to understand what's going on. He's walking around, just eating like foraging, or you're saying he's cooking?
I didn't say he did, but I didn't say it was. All I said that it wasn't necessarily raw.
Okay.
But my wife has been cooking me beet greens. You ever eat those?
Beet greens? Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's so delicious. It's like crazy. It's so nutritious too, you know. It reminds me of the food that the sadhus eat out there in the forest, you know, but it's so good. Okay, enough of that. Anger. So I'm going to start over. You should strive to destroy your anger by controlling your senses and sustaining on food from roots, stem, and fruits in the forest. Anger deprives an ascetic of his merits, right? You get angry. We should think like when that anger is coming up in me, it's just like draining me of all of my, you know, my spiritual kind of the practices and so on.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Anger deprives an ascetic of his merits, without which liberation cannot be achieved. Only forgiveness. Okay, you got to put a big circle around that, right? Forgiveness. Yep. Only forgiveness can give forth the bliss, both in the current world and in the next. If you want to be happy in this world or the next,
it's so simple.
Forgiveness.
It's so simple and so difficult. And people even practicing, this is like, you know, we really want to emphasize this, everybody, because, you know, a lot of people on the show here, I'm looking at Giant Time, I'm looking at Henry, I'm looking at, you know, we've been practicing this for a long time. but still these ABCs, it's sort of like you can't walk out the door unless you put your clothes on first. This is like putting your clothes on in spiritual life. You have to forgive. You can't be resentful on a regular basis. If there's a resentment in your heart, you should stop everything. Take the day off. Work on uprooting that resentment, or you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to chant your japa. You're going to go to your kirtan. You're going to put on your spiritual outfits, read your spiritual books. But if you're still having that resentment in your heart, it's not going to work. It's going to be like, going for the New York Marathon and someone's got like a big giant rubber band holding you back. You're not going to go anywhere. We've got to uproot resentment. We've got to forgive people. We got to take it. I mean, it's been happening for a while. We got to go deep then. If it's happened a long time ago, we got to go deeper. Sometimes even work with a therapist to get rid of that resentment. But in the short term, if someone hurts me, got to learn to let things go. Or what happens is it puts our spiritual life with a very, very low ceiling. It keeps us in a little box. And even people on this path for a long time, we forget these things. And we should have a red flag that goes right up. Bing! Up. I'm angry at this person. I'm bitter. They don't know how much I've done. And what's happening is we're not seeing a divine hand at play when we are wronged. You were not wronged. The universe, God, sweet baby Krishna, is using a person or circumstance for our edification. It's not got nothing to do with the person even. They're using a person or circumstance to bring out some greatness in me. Don't blame them.
Nice, Raghu. You sound like Shamika Rishi. You are like a Rishi. You should go grab Rocco right now and just start instructing. Doing great here. Okay. So speaking of forgiveness, he just told us that forgiveness is basically the key to bliss in this life and the next. He says,
key to bliss.
So you should focus on controlling your senses and being forgiving towards others. By following this, you can attain the regions even beyond the reach of Brahma. Okay, which is like the highest planet in the material universe. And Shringi then replied to his father, saying, whether this be an act of rashness, O father, or an improper act that I have done, whether you like it or dislike it, the words spoken by me shall never be in vain. O father, I tell you, my curse can never be otherwise. I have never spoken a lie, even in jest. That's how he's gotten his power, right? It's like practicing.
He's never spoken a lie, even in jest.
So he's saying, once I curse someone, it's done.
See, I speak lies in jest all the time. That's like one of my classic type of humor. I'll walk into a room and say, anything. I just got bit by a snake. Something like that. You did? No, I'm just
got bit by a snake.
I speak lies in jest as part of my humor.
Okay. So he doesn't even do that, Shringi. And Shamika said, dear child, I know that you are of great prowess and truthful in speech. You have never spoken falsehoods before, so that your curse shall never be falsified. The son, even when he comes of age, should still be always counseled by the father, so that crowned with good qualities, he may acquire great renown. As a child as you are, how much more you are in need of counsel. O foremost of observance of ordinance observing persons, seeing that you are my son in a minor too, and beholding your rashness, I see that I must counsel you. So he gives him that counsel of how to forgive. And then he says, let me move forward. Having adopted peacefulness myself, and with the desire also for doing good as much as lies in my power, I must do something. I must send a message to the king telling him, O monarch, you have been cursed by my son of tender years and undeveloped intellect in wrath, and seeing your act of disrespect towards myself. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. He says, O monarch, You have been cursed by my son of tender years and undeveloped intellect in wrath at seeing your act of disrespect towards myself. And that great ascetic, observer of vows, moved by kindness, sent with proper instructions a disciple of his to King Parikshit. He sent his disciple Gaur-mukha, of good manners, and engaged also in ascetic penances, instructing him to first inquire about the welfare of the king, and then to communicate the real message. It's not always what you say, it's how you say it too, right?
Yeah.
So go in there, and then the first thing, this is a guru instructing a disciple, okay, I have an important message I want you to carry for me. When you see this person, first thing I want you to do is, in a real, with real, in a gentle way, I want you to say, how are you, King? Tell me how you're doing. I want to hear about you. Not just to bust down the door and say, hey, you've been cursed by a snake. You're about to get bit. It's like how you speak, becomes important. So at that, and that disciple soon approached that monarch, the head of the Kuru race, meaning Maharaj Parikshit, and he entered the king's palace, having first sent notice of his arrival through the servant in attendance at the gate. And then the twice-born Gaur-mukha was duly worshipped by the monarch. And after resting for a while, he detailed fully to the king, in the presence of his ministers, the words of Shamika, of cruel import, exactly as he had been instructed. And Gaur-mukha said, O King of Kings, there's a rishi, Shamika by name, a virtuous soul, his passions under control, peaceful, and given up to hard ascetic devotions, living in your kingdom. By you, O tiger among men, was placed on the shoulders of that rishi, observing the vow of silence, a dead snake, with the end of your bow. He himself forgave you for that act.
Isn't it weird? Imagine if someone comes in your house and says, and you did this thing sort of privately, you did this thing privately in the woods, and somebody comes in, exactly tells you what happened, as if they've witnessed the entire thing. And he's like, oh my God, I was just found out. Like, imagine this like discourse. All right, sorry to interrupt. I'm putting myself in the situation.
Little context there.
I'm picturing the kingdom. I'm picturing the king sitting there, and I'm picturing this Gaur-mukha coming in and like sort of like revealing, look, we know what happened here. And
how do you picture Gaur-mukha? He's got the wooden shoes on, maybe?
Wooden shoes. He's wearing maybe some like, animal pelt or some rags, and disheveled hair, maybe a few teeth.
Nice missing. Dreadlocks, I think. Nice dreadlocks.
Beautiful dreadlocks, but clean, beautiful face.
I'm with you 100%.
Right.
Okay. So he said again, by you, O tiger among men, was placed on the shoulders of that rishi, observing a vow of silence, a dead snake with the end of your bow. He himself forgave you for that act, but his son could not. And by the latter, you have today been cursed.
Imagine someone coming in your house and just sharing, look, I'm just going to let you know, you've been cursed.
You've been cursed. So he said, and by the latter, you have today been cursed, O King of Kings, without the knowledge of his father, to the effect that within 7 nights hence shall the snake Takshaka cause your death.
Wow. Imagine that. The day death knocks at your door. Hey, you got 7, and right? And this happens to everyone. There is a snake bird coming for us all.
That's right.
Right? But sometimes we don't know that snake bird, right? We don't know about it. And it's like, oh, he died. Oh, she died. I wasn't ready for that. But death came to his door basically and saying, look, you're going to die in 7 days. And then it comes like, oh man, we were planning a vacation. We were going to go to Sardinia. Oh, I had big plans. I had this. And this is what the thing about death is. Death doesn't care about your plans. Mm-hmm. Death doesn't care about, well, we're going to do this in 5 years. Death doesn't care about your 5-year goals. Death is coming. What are you doing about it today? We should have goals. We have Makeover Monday. We should have, right? We should have a 10-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 1-year plan. But we need a daily plan that if the snake bird starts flapping his wings at your door, pecking at your door with his snake-like beak, banging in. When that snake bird comes to our door,
Hold it. What is a snake-like beak? Anyway, continue.
I'm thinking wings. It might also have a beak.
Okay, go ahead. But it's
in
flapping
my
at your door.
snake bird imagination.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You were really.
I was on a flow.
So when
here.
that snake bird with its beak is flapping at your door,
pecking at your door, the snake of death is coming to you. We have to
You're
be
ready.
like, you know what? I'm okay to die today. I'm saying, here's my point. 5-year goal, great. 10-year goal, life goals, great. 1-year goal, great. We need today's goal as well. How am I going to be spiritually conscious today? Where I said, it's okay to die today. Today's an okay to die. Today's an okay day to die.
You know, Raghu, when you told that story on the Joe Rogan show about like when you got beat down at that show in Buffalo.
True story. One of the most spiritual experiences of my life, the day I got jumped by a gang.
I'm not asking you to tell the whole story right now.
I'm not going to tell it.
Okay. But you mentioned at a certain point where like you were kind of like probably had a concussion or whatever, and you're all bloody and beaten there, but you went to this place through those Brahma Samhita verses.
Yeah.
And you felt this connection at that time. And then you said on that show, you said something like, and you know what, if I die right now, I almost like welcome it. And then he responded by saying, that's a crazy thing to say. But I was thinking, it's only crazy if you don't understand it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Of
only
course.
crazy.
It's just,
If you've been day by day cultivating these spiritual ideas, then death isn't an end of everything. It's only when you identify with the body.
it's a change of bodies.
It's a change of body. And what to speak of, you were a young man, you didn't have a family that you were caring for, anything like that. You
Yeah,
could
there was
have let
nothing
go
to
right
be like,
there
what
and
about
moved
my
on.
son? It was
Yeah.
none of that. It was sort of like
Yeah.
I'm with a bunch of monks. Don't let me, all these thoughts did come in like, where's the band? I'm going to die right now. No one knows where I am. My mom doesn't know where I am. All the things that we're attached to in this world, those things come up. When you're in a family, of course, you start to think like, my child needs me. My young daughter still needs me. Those things will come up. But we have to actually understand that, it's like these people who run a big business and they think like, well, like Mara does this. Mara does this. This is about Mara. What happens is she always feels like, I was like, Mary, you should go on pilgrimage this time. She's like, I can't. The business can't exist without me. Without me, the world can't go on. It can, Mara. It can go on. You can go to the Ganges. The Srimad Bhagavatam is giving you permission. The world will go on without you as if you didn't even exist. That's the sad thing. So will Simon's Catering. It will go on. You'll find a manager. They'll screw up a little bit, that manager, and then it'll work itself out. It'll work itself out. They'll learn from their mistakes and they'll work themselves out.
Okay.
Point is, the world
Got
will
that,
go
Mara?
on without us.
Yep.
There's a lesson for you there, Mara.
But my point was this, is that you were engaged as a monk, as a serious practitioner, in cultivating a state of consciousness that you want to be in when you die. And you were in a situation where you thought, I might die. And you were in that state of consciousness that you wanted to be in. So, hey, right? If this is the moment, this is how I want it to happen. I want to be thinking like this right now.
Yeah,
so I understood it. I could see Joe Rogan was like, what are you talking about? But I was like, no, I totally get it.
We want to be in that good place when we die. We want to be okay.
We're going to die sooner or later.
I wasn't planning on it. I
Yeah.
had another plan today. I was going to go for a bicycle ride, whatever our plan was for the day. But you want to take me now, Krishna? Oh, Krishna, you're so sweet. Now's the time. I'm waiting for you, Krishna.
Someday we should read from the Mukundamala Stotra from King Kulashekar, but he has that beautiful verse that Prabhupada would quote, where it says, now that my mind is absorbed in you, let me die now, right?
Right.
While the swan of my mind is entangled in the lotus stems of your lotus feet, let me die now.
My point was, we were talking about makeover money and stuff like that, but we want to be that person today.
Okay.
And we want to be that person in 5 years too, but we want to be that person today.
Okay.
How could it be on my A game today. You know, when I put my head on the pillow at night, I was like, yeah, it was a good day. It was a good day of serving Krishna. We want to wake up and we want to think, Krishna, today I'm yours. What would you like from me today? How can I give this life in service today?
So we can start by finishing this story today. You ready?
Yeah.
And so
this is a great point too. But before you get off this, your first point was, this is samadhi, this evenness of mind that Shamaka Rishi had. He was not offended. He should have been offended. He was not offended. He was forgiving. He was completely forgiving. He saw the other person's, what they were going through, and he said, yeah, I should have been angry, and I'm not, and I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt that he was struggling through something.
Hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people hurt people.
Okay. Well articulated.
Well, there's also that thing, what is it again, 12-step people? It's like thirsty, hungry, hang. You know what I'm talking about? Halt.
Yeah.
Hungry, angry.
Lonely and tired?
I was going to say lusty and tired, but I think it's lonely and tired. Hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. If you're feeling any of those things, we have a tendency to act out or act out of character. So he was thirsty. Is it thirsty?
He was thirsty, yeah.
Thirsty.
I think you should write a new song for Shelter called, what was it? Hungry, angry, thirsty, and
hungry,
tired.
angry, lonely, tired.
Okay.
Hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
Okay.
Yeah, so he had some hungry.
He was hungry. So let me finish this before our time runs out.
So he lost his temper. You never did that? You never got angry, put a snake around someone's neck?
I've done other things. Okay, so the messenger is saying, and by the latter, namely Shringi, you have today been cursed, O King of Kings, without the knowledge of his father, to the effect that within 7 nights hence shall the snake Takshaka cause your death.
I love how when they do translations, they make it sound like Shakespeare. Hence,
I actually edited this whole thing down. I took all out.
You added hence?
I didn't add it. I'm saying it's one thing I didn't take out, but I took out all this particular version was all thou, thee, and all of that stuff. Okay.
What was that from? Like early British translations or something?
Yeah.
Hence thou there hast.
Hest. And Shamika repeatedly asked his son to save you, but there is none to falsify his son's curse. And because he has been unable to pacify his son possessed by anger, therefore I have been sent to you, O king, for your good. Okay. So now we got this young, immature yogi who's used his powers in an unfortunate way because he still hasn't conquered his anger. We have the saintly sage who has conquered his anger, who, caring for the king who had offended him, sends message for his own good. And now let's hear about the king, who in one sense is like, he's such a good person. He's just living a life of virtue constantly, and he made one little mistake. Now he's going to be cursed. Now he's been cursed. He could say, well, come on, man. It's like, I made a little mistake. Right. Give me a break. It's like, I'm supposed to die for that? Is that really fair? He says, and the king of the Kuru race, Parikit, himself engaged in ascetic practices, having heard these cruel words and recollecting his own sinful act, became exceedingly sorry. He just said, oh, it's so wrong what I did, right? It's so wrong what I did.
Another stellar quality of a person practicing bhakti, that we can say, you know what I did was wrong. I did was wrong, and I deserve some type of and I'm going to get some karma for it. Instead of justifying, oh, just get over it. No, if I hurt someone, I have no right to tell them to get over it. Their therapist can tell them to get over it. Their friends can tell them to get over it. I don't have that right. I have to my right is to say, you know what? That was stupid. I'm sorry. That was stupid.
I'm sorry.
I'm
And the
sorry.
king, learning that the foremost of rishis in the forest had been observing the vow of silence. Oh, it was a vow of silence, of course.
taking a vow
That's
of
why he didn't
silence, of
respond to me. Was doubly afflicted with sorrow. And seeing the kindness of Rishi Shamika, and he's thinking of my good, right? He sends this messenger to me because he's caring. He didn't take any offense at what I did. And seeing the kindness of Rishi Shamika and considering his own sinful act towards him, the king became very repentant. And the king, looking like a god, did not grieve so much for hearing of his death as for having done that act to the rishi.
Gentle mic drop. That was a
We've
gentle
got to,
mic drop.
yeah, very gentle mic drop. We've got to hear these stories. We got to contemplate them. We have to reflect on them. When we feel offended, we have to reflect on this, right? When we've been cursed, we have to
This
reflect
is
on this.
setting up an entire dropped pin of how I should react in these different circumstances. Because I'm oblivious when I'm offensive. I'm oblivious to it. I have a blind spot, so to speak. In my when I hurt somebody, I have a blind spot. When I've been hurt, I want the whole world to know how I've been hurt. Come on.
Let it go.
Let it, Raghu, it's like, get it into your head. It's not about you all the time.
So what did we learn today? We learned that forgiveness is the key to happiness in this life and the next.
Man, that class went by fast, man.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is the keep talking.
We learned that if we're going to become deeply absorbed in meditation, we have to let go of all of these feelings that I've been wronged, and we need to conquer anger. And that even if we become advanced in yoga, we get like powerful at yoga. If we haven't conquered anger, we're just going to cause trouble. So many things here, right?
So many things. Keep talking, Kaustubha. We're experiencing operating difficulties. Please stand by.
Any case, so we've got a little background now of who Parikit is and where this is going to lead, where these final chapters of the first canto are going to lead. It's going to lead to this. And then taking this, understanding that I only have 7 days left, the king makes the best use of the time. He goes to the sages by the bank of the river, and there he hears Bhagavatam. So all this is building up to that. Crank it up, Raghu, maestro.
Second, I got to give some trivia questions.
Oh, okay.
This isn't official trivia day, but I'm just going to throw this out there. Look at Mara, she's getting all excited. Oh, trivia. Woo! Win valuable prizes. Okay, got 5 questions for you. First question. Some are going to be simple, some are going to be hard. You all have to, everybody on Zoom has to have the answers by tomorrow. We're going to keep it simple first. Who's the author, the compiler of the Vedas? The author of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Second one's a little trickier. Who's the scribe? Who actually penned it? Who penned it? Third one. Who's the father of Vyasadeva? I just gave away the first answer. Oh.
You didn't. Now you did.
Now I did.
You could have said nothing.
Oh. All right. Oh, Krishna, help me. All right. I just blew it.
Oh, Raghu. You're not ready for
Name young Krishna's 2 sets of parents. Name young Krishna's 2 sets of parents.
Okay. Foster and birth parents.
Foster parents and the birth parents, so to speak. Right? And what was the name of the evil king who sent all the demons to kill young Krishna?
You can hardly hear you. You got to wait from the mic.
What was the name of the evil
go.
king that sent all the demons to kill young Krishna? What was his name? You got to find out. Oh, stop answering, Aravind. Get off the chat board.
Everybody's answering.
Oh, everybody's answering. Okay, forget it. Okay.
You see, you haven't laid out the rules and how this
All
whole
right,
thing
I got to
works.
think of the rules. I gotta think of the rules. I thought this was
Because,
gonna be
you
homework.
know, whether it's going to be like people send in their answers and we pick one of the people that got it right, you know, and that way even people that are others can participate, not just Zoomers.
Yes, yes.
I think it may have to be something like that.
Kamania said no one heard my question properly, Raghu.
You're too
What question?
you went up to the mic. You went up to the screen and you got away from the mic. But now I think people heard it. I hope.
Okay, okay.
All right. You got the music ready, Raghunath?
How many chapters in the Bhagavad Gita? There we go. How about that one? Boom. And then how many days were fought in the battle of Kurukshetra? How many days was that battle fought?
Arvin's not answering.
And Arvin's like,
I
biting
gotta
his
say it.
fingernails. I gotta say. Oh, everybody, I love you all. This is wonderful.
Love to the Zoomers, love to the others.
Thanks, Zoomers. That was fun. What a fun way to start your Tuesday. Back in the work week when hopefully you're working. I'm still not working. I gotta go to work. I gotta figure out how to work. Everybody listening on Zoom, if you'd like to join Zoom, you want to join this little crazy 5 a.m. party, you can email Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. You have no excuse, Mara, not to go on pilgrimage this year. The world will go on without you.
That's the title of today's class. The world can go on without Mara.
You got to email Mara. Email her. Right? Join our Zoom group. Tell her that. Give her permission to relinquish her job for 2 weeks. Control freak that she is. wisdomsages108@gmail.com. I love this song. If I die, I want this song to be playing when they're throwing me on the funeral pyre. When Kaustubha rolls my body in with that Tulsi leaf on my mouth, make sure this song is playing. And thanks everybody joining us on Apple Podcasts. Thanks for all those people who joined from Steve Aoki's interview we did. If you haven't seen that interview, it's up on Steve Aoki's YouTube page and also my Facebook pages, Raghunath.yoga, facebook.com/Raghunath Yoga. Cool interview about the 4 facets of yogic fasting. Interesting stuff. Also, what else we got, Kaustubha?
We got Parmananda today, 10. We got you
10
today,
o'clock.
7.
You want a good workout? Parmananda's the guy. It's a spiritual workout because it's a spiritual guy. And also tonight, sweet baby Krishna. We're going to go over the Hanuman Chalis.
Sweet baby Hanuman.
Sweet baby Hanuman. But we're going to do Hanuman. We always do prayers every morning.